Transformers, more than meets the eye. What's up, everybody? This is Paul, otherwise known here on YouTube as Optibotimus, and I got myself a fun time to sit here and talk. We are going to do a discussion and review of the new Bumblebee movie that I was lucky enough to see tonight in select theaters around the country. It opened considerably earlier than regular release. The regular release is still December 21st. So heads up, if you haven't seen the movie, if you don't want to be part of the discussion yet, if you don't want to be spoiled, stop watching right now. This is your warning. I'm letting you know that I'm going to spoil the crap out of this movie, and I don't care. I just got back. You can see I still have my movie soda. And can I just say that I love the Coke freestyle machines when movie theaters have those in there. Lets me get my refill, do it myself, lets me pick the soda that I want. Specifically, they have Mellow Yellow Zero. Max, stop doing that. They have Mellow Yellow Zero, which is amazing. I love it. I also have a very upset stomach right now because I ate too much popcorn, so I have to try and eat something else. So I'm eating some onion rings. I have some chicken nuggets too. So you're gonna sit here with me while I eat. Well, first things first. So early goers, when you went to the movie, you were given this. It's a little, what is this? Transformers Movie Edition, Tiny Turbo Changers. Collect all 12. This is Series 4. So I'm going to open this, and I'm going to see who we got. Live unboxing. And, oh, well, this is lame. I was hoping it was going to, these are actually really kind of lame. There's like nothing on this. It's Scorn. But that's pretty ugly. That's a new toy for Max. So that sucked. I picked the wrong one. I should have picked a better one. Do they have other ones in here? You got a little tiny turbo changer. It does transform into a so stupid. All right, so the Bumblebee movie. Now, first and foremost, this is what I want to say. I said this on Twitter, and I'm going to say this again because a lot of people are calling this a reboot or a soft reboot. I guess if you're going to use any term, I guess soft reboot is the most applicable. But for me, I see this movie as a prequel. And I'm going to read this. The Bumblebee movie is a prequel that resets the franchise back to the 80s. A 35-year gap exists between the events in this movie and the events in Transformers 1. Eventually, the timelines will match up, so to me it's more of a prequel, but resets things for other stories to be told. So I guess you could say that is a soft reboot, but there are specific things in this movie that connect it to the other movies, so you know this movie is a prequel. The 2007 Transformer movie took place in 2007. This movie takes place in 1987. The movie opens up now. Full disclosure, I have several friends that were involved in the process of this movie. And I was very fortunate to be able to see a couple pages of the script. And the script, the part that I saw was the beginning of this movie. This movie opens up in full CGI mode. It opens up on Cybertron, where there is the battle going on, and it was fantastic. Everything that I knew was going to happen, getting to see it on screen was quite impressive. It did have a very animated feel to it, one thing that I will say that's different between the Travis Knight Bumblebee movie and the Michael Bay movies. The Michael Bay movies, a lot of the robots, even in their full CGI form, had a lot of coloring done to it. There was a lot of light that was bouncing off. There was a lot of dirt that was on it that gave it a real world look. It actually looked like they were there. This had a cleaner, smoother texture to it, which was something that they wanted to do from the very beginning. This was a much lower budgeted movie than the previous Transformer movies, and it showed in this. They really squared things off. They even talked about how there was a special behind the scenes thing before the movie, and they talked about how they really wanted to simplify things. So instead of seeing all the internal gears and mechanisms, there were just panels of car parts, and robot stuff was kind of hidden for the most part. And that was just done to keep it cheaper, basically. But what I feel like when I was watching that opening sequence, it felt a little bit more like a cartoon. And I didn't mind it, but it was something that I did notice that personally, as I, watched all the other movies, 1 through 5, you kind of got used to that. And that's not to say that the remaining CGI throughout the rest of the movie was like that. It just seemed like that when they were on Cybertron. I knew that there were certain voice actors that were doing roles in the movie. I was absolutely blown away. I knew certain characters were going to be shown. We get to see Ratchet in his kind of G1 looking self. We get to see Wheeljack, who Wheeljack kind of looked more like Transformers Prime Wheeljack, which I was okay with. We saw RC, we saw Brawn. All of these characters were there, and it was so awesome to see. We saw Shockwave. We got to hear Shockwave, and oh my God, he sounded amazing. I loved it. All of that stuff was just full-on 80s kid geek mode. So one thing that I've always said about these Transformer movies is that they are not made for us fans. They're absolutely not. And they didn't make that much money, with the exception of The Last Night. They didn't make that much money because of fans going to see these movies. It was because they appealed to everybody. And I've always said that these movies are designed to create a new generation one of fans, a new generation of fans in general, and appeal to people like my mom or my sister or my girlfriend who don't really care about Transformers that much. But what Michael Bay did with the first 5, and this is how Michael Bay is as a director, he creates a spectacle. And that's true with all of the movies. All of the movies he's done, from Armageddon to Pearl Harbor, I mean, all of the movies he's done are spectacles. And I feel like with Transformers, he created a spectacle with it, and he did a really good job. And I'm not a hater of Michael Bay at all. But what Travis Knight did was, in that opening sequence, he totally did a fan service by having that. So it instantly appeals to Transformer fans of old, such as myself. And then he kicks into a whole new story. And as I said, this story takes place in 1987. The Autobots are spreading out. They're leaving Cybertron. They spread out to the different parts of the galaxy. Bumblebee is specifically sent to Earth by Optimus Prime. Now, we knew that with the events of Transformers 1. Bumblebee was there already. He's stayed there, basically, this entire time, it seems. And through the course of it, he first is awoken, and he's there surrounded by humans. He crash lands, he's surrounded by humans, and that's where he's already taken aback, because these humans are very aggressive. They're military people. And this is a part where it connects to something later on in the movies, that this is a Sector 7 training group. So Sector 7 exists. So again, there are bits and pieces that are there that connect to the next ones. So prequel. And John Cena is in charge of. John Cena, I thought, did a terrific job in this movie. I've never been a big fan of him as an actor. I thought he did a great job in this. Then through that, we also see what Bumblebee kind of is like. And we get a little bit of that in the beginning. Bumblebee does have his voice in the beginning, which is nice. And he's like, he's like, whoa. After a bit of a chase, he's like, whoa, guys, hold on, humans. I'm not here to do anything. And then he looks up and he sees a jet flying in. And John Cena's character is like, I don't remember calling the Air Force. And Bumblebee's like, that's not the Air Force. It's actually Blitzwing, which was voiced by David Sobolov, who you guys may know throughout Transformers history, has done several different Transformer voices, which was great. I knew he was going to be Blitzwing. A lot of people said that he was going to be Starscream. I knew he was going to be Blitzwing in it. I knew Blitzwing was going to be, despite the fact that he really does look like Starscream. All the elements were there to make him look like G1 Starscream. I don't know if that was something that they tried to not do, because Bumblebee kills him. Again, I already warned you there was going to be spoilers. So Bumblebee kills him. And then engages in a battle again. Engages in this battle with him, in which he does get severely damaged to the point where he shuts down. The last thing he scans is the Volkswagen Beetle. Fast forward a little bit. We then meet Charlie, who's a 17, gonna turn 18-year-old girl who has a lot of emotional issues because of family situations and things of that nature, is desperately trying just to kind of escape and get away. And I'll mention this again, the character development. As I said, Michael Bay created a spectacle. What Travis Knight did with this was create a story, a really, really good story. And it starts with obviously seeing Bumblebee, and you start to, everybody already cares about Bumblebee. We know the Bumblebee character, but then we see Charlie, and there's the growth with her, and you start connecting with her and sympathizing with her of sorts. And she's working at this little garage. I don't really even think she's working. She's just there doing stuff. So it's interesting to see, like I said, her character development. She discovers that Bumblebee is there, whose name is not Bumblebee at this time. It's BB something. I don't know. He's got a different like code name or something like that. But she eventually gets to take him home, and just is so desperate to try to get away. She just walks in and like, I want this car. I don't care what I have to do. I'll even scrub your toilets. I don't care. I want that car. And the guy's like, there's nothing wrong with my toilets. And you can't have a job because we're not hiring. But you can have the car. And it's like, oh, that's so nice of you, old man. So she takes the car and she gets it inside her garage. And that's when we see, like, from the trailer, a part of him falls off. Which, strangely enough, it does go into him transforming. And that part that fell off is nowhere to be found. I don't know if at some point where he, like, picked it up or something like that. I have no idea. But he's terrified of humans because of what he's gone through, and he's scared of her. And it was a really nice, very touching scene where she's sitting there and she's like this. Almost as if, like, I'm not going to do anything. Like, I won't hurt you. And that's when he goes down, he leans down, he puts his head in her hands, closes his eyes. And you see that connection right there. And again, the storytelling is just so nice. One other thing that I felt was maybe done up a little bit too much was they were really trying to drive home that this movie was set in the 80s. In the first, after the Cybertron scene, the first 10 minutes of the movie was you just had a crap ton of 80s music like blasted at you, like being played in the background and stuff. I don't mind it because I love 80s music, but I felt like that was just a little bit, maybe a little bit too much, but I thought it was okay. And through that whole process, she discovers that he can't talk, and that he's got a radio. She replaces the radio that's in him was damaged. She replaces it, and then there's the fun scene where she's putting in different cassettes. And what was it? I want to say it was Take on Me by Aha, and Bumblebee starts doing a little dance. And then she takes something else that I don't even know what it is. I don't think I've ever heard of it, but there's another tape she puts in. Bumblebee listens to it, pew, spits it out. And then she's like, okay, maybe you didn't like that one. So then she puts in Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up. And like, never gonna give you up, pew, man. It's like, he's like, no, I'm not even into that. So there was a lot of humor in it. And that humor really did a nice job, like I said, of connecting the characters. And I felt like it worked very well. Through that whole process, or through all of that, we then are introduced to two new Decepticons. We have Shatter and we have Dropkick. These two are badasses, especially Dropkick, just because he just wants to destroy everything. And they come to Earth after interrogating Cliffjumper on some distant moon. I don't even think our moon. I think it's past like Jupiter or something, or Saturn. But they come across Cliffjumper, and through that whole thing, they pick up a signal from Earth that's Bumblebee's signal. And they're like, oh, well, we don't need you really anymore, Cliffjumper. You're not going to talk to us. And all he did was just keep like, I'm Cliffjumper, Lieutenant, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, we don't really need you anymore. They literally cut him in half. And you just see, like, oh, Cliffjumper. But again, another character that looked amazing. And there was Cliffjumper, so yay. And then they go to Earth, where they come in contact with the humans, and the humans are like, oh man, look, it's these guys. And it was Shatter's idea to be like, hey, listen. Oh, wait. One of my favorite scenes. They when they first come to Earth, they interrupt like a family that's fighting, and the guy's like, or she's like, you tried sleeping with my sister, and he's like, unsuccessfully. Like, that makes it all better or something. But so then Shatter and Dropkick arrive. Dropkick basically looks at the dude. It's like, hi. Pew! Shoots him. He just explodes into a puddle of slime. It was blip. And he's like, oh, I love how they just pop like that. It was funny. So they're going through the humans in Sector 7, now kind of not really headed, but it seems like the John Cena character is like in charge of several of them. He gets a call that says that there are two new, what do you call it, like signals. So they decide to go and intercept them. They meet up, and Dropkick is like, oh, they're multiplying. There's more of them. And Chad is like, I got this idea. And she goes up and she's like, hello, humans. We're here. We are the Decepticon security patrol or something. And Dropkick's like, what are you doing? And she like leans down to talk to him. And Dropkick's like, God, this is humiliating. Because he doesn't care. He just wants to. He just wants to blow his way through everything. And Shatter's trying to be a little bit more diplomatic about it. A little bit more of a Decepticon. A little bit more conniving. I liked that. And those two characters, again, got some really good. What are you doing, Max? He's weird. A little bit more character development than we've ever gotten for Transformers, especially Decepticons. I mean, this was really cool to see. So so the humans decide to help them, and the way that the Decepticons want to try to find Bumblebee is utilize the satellite system that Earth has. And John Cena's like, this is not a good idea. And the other guy who's like a head person or a head scientist or something for Sector 7 is like, no, let's do this. They can, they can help us. They can teach us stuff, blah, blah, blah. So they're doing that. Meanwhile, Bumblebee and Charlie are just kind of having a good time. She's enjoying the fact that she's got a best bud that transforms into a robot. And Bumblebee, unfortunately, has memory issues. I skipped the part that initially Bumblebee, I said, did have his voice. Well, Bumblebee told Blitzwing that he'll never talk. Like he had him and was like, yeah, it's like, tell me where Optimus Prime is. They're all trying to find Optimus Prime. Tell me where Optimus Prime is. That's not the voice. And Bumblebee's like, I'll never talk. So Blitzwing is like, well, let's make that official then. And right into his thing and pulls out his thing. Again, connecting. There you go. Prequel. So now fast forward later, Bumblebee can't really communicate. He's scanning the radio. He's learning how to talk through the radio. Again, connecting. So he does all that, and she's explaining to him, like, you can't show yourself around anybody. You have to hide yourself and not let anybody see you, because they'll freak out and they'll tell people, and then the bad people will take you and they're gonna chop you up and they're gonna do all this crap. So it was basically just creating that relationship between these two characters, which I felt, again, did very, very good. All the Michael Bay movies, as I said, being a spectacle, there's a lot of explosions. Like, everything. The one thing that I would say is that the Michael Bay movies, the main points, like when you look like, main points are all the action sequences. And then there's small little connective things in between. This was different. The connective stuff was the main stuff. And then the little tiny stuff were the battle scenes. So it was the exact opposite with this. And I felt like Travis Knight really did a really good job of understanding the storytelling aspect of things and getting that level of connection to these characters. Fast forward a bit. I mean, because I'm not going to spoil everything, but fast forward to the Decepticons and the humans finally finding Bumblebee. And as this is happening, well, first the humans find Bumblebee, and there's a battle that ensues. And Bumblebee is trying to protect the friends that he's made. And you get there was that really strong sense of when Bumblebee and Sam were being split apart, that he rushed in there to protect Sam, and now he's getting pulled apart again. I had that same kind of feeling with this, again, where that was kind of happening, and through that process, Bumblebee starts to remember things. He gets knocked in the head a few times. He gets electrocuted a few times. He starts remembering things, and Charlie even says, like, you remember now, don't you? And there was one scene that, I don't want to say that it bothered me, but Bumblebee seemed to get really, really pissed. And his eyes turn red and he starts blowing up a whole bunch of stuff. And I think that's just a lot of latent hostility that he kind of has. But I feel like they didn't necessarily need to change his eye color. I felt that was a little bit too much, because we've never seen that before in Transformers. I mean, with the movies, their eye colors never really changed, except for Optimus when he turned evil. and that was purple. But he starts remembering things. Um, Shatter and Dropkick find him, find her. They are talking, and they're like, "Oh, look, we found him! Yay, let's go, let's go!" And that's when they kind of reveal their plan. And that scientist that was like all gung ho and yay, happy for him. Oh, and Sector 7 is also still at the Hoover Dam again. Connection. But so they leave. They go to the like base just outside of where these people are. And the scientist hears what their plans are. They're trying to find Optimus. They discover that Optimus is coming here. They've captured Bumblebee now, and they're trying to interrogate him. And they are talking about this stuff. The scientist dude finds out, and then he calls John Cena. Is like, "This was a bad idea. We got to get rid of these guys, and like they're gonna kill everybody." And Dropkick pops him too, and he explodes. Bumblebee then, they battle, they fight. Bumblebee kind of gets away. There's a really great fight sequence towards the end here between Dropkick and Shatter and Bumblebee. They both kind of fight him individually, and obviously Bumblebee wins. Again, I'm not going to get into too terribly much. I just, like I said, I don't want. I'm going to spoil things, but I don't want to spoil everything, if that makes sense. Bumblebee ends up winning. One aspect that got a lot of people to cheer, I just remembered this, was Bumblebee is Charlie's. I keep wanting to call her Carly. Charlie is, like I said, emotionally damaged because of certain events in her life, and she. Bumblebee, her and her friend, I forgot his name, who's got a crush on her, which is kind of cute because he's awkward, go off to this little party area where everybody's kind of hanging out and they're partying. They're diving. Well, one guy wants to dive off this cliff into the water, and well, Charlie used to be a diver but has given it up, and Bumblebee's trying to encourage her. And the thing that was amazing is, again, he's trying to learn how to talk through his radio. All of a sudden, Stan Bush, You've Got the Touch, starts playing. Whole theater went crazy. Everyone's clapping. Everyone loved it. That was such a wonderful nod in that. So again, Travis is doing things that are little fan services to people. There's another great one that comes up later on that I'll tell you. So the movie ends. Okay. They battle. Bumblebee survives the battle, but Charlie's like, you need to. Well, this came from John Cena mostly. That he's like, you need to go. People are gonna look for him. He needs to go and hide. So through that, they decide Bumblebee needs to leave, and Charlie is like heartbroken, but she's like, you helped me. You helped make me who I was again. And there was just a very beautiful, touching moment that honestly I was getting a little bit choked up about because, again, they did such a good job of developing these characters. You started to care about them. So it was really nice to see. And Bumblebee is like very reluctant. He transforms, and she's like, I need to go. He hesitates. He opens a door to encourage her to come back in, and she's like, no, you have to go. And Bumblebee's like, okay. He decides that he's going to leave. Proceeds to look ahead to the Golden Gate Bridge, where there's a 1960s beat up, well, not even beat up at this point in time, but a 1960s Camaro, which is exactly what he was in the 2007 Transformer movie in the beginning, albeit considerably more beat up. So obviously there's going to be more, like, how did he get beat up? Interesting. So again, connection. It's a prequel to the movie. But so he scans it and then transforms into it. And another hilarious scene is she's like, You mean you could have been a Camaro all this time? It was just funny. So then Bumblebee goes off. He drives away, leaves Charlie, who goes back to her family, and they start connecting again and uh, start healing. It seems, and she's in a much better place. We see Bumblebee driving across the Golden Gate Bridge to again another wonderful fan nod right next to a red semi truck with a gray trailer that looks exactly like G1 Optimus Prime. Bravo, Mr. Knight. Bravo. Um, and then the movie basically starts wrapping up. But we do see something that is interesting to me. Bumblebee is in his new robot mode. So he looks in his robot mode the way he does in the 2007 movie. So again, he's created that form now for him. And that's what it seems will last from the 1987 till 2007, basically. So 30 years worth. And Optimus Prime is there, though, on Earth. And it's interesting because obviously the 2007 movie seemed to show that that was their first arrival. And then they turn around and look and they see more comet type of things coming down, several of them coming down. And we don't necessarily see who those are, if they're Autobots, Decepticons, whatnot. But the argument is that this is a reboot because obviously those Autobots are there and there were no Autobots in the first movie. To me, this really doesn't say too much because we don't know what they're going to tell. We have a 30-year gap now between the events of this movie and that movie. And I think in that time, they want to fill that with more stories. Hopefully, this movie does well enough to be able to do something like that. There was a lot of talk initially, and this happened that this movie was supposed to come out this year. Next year was supposed to be Transformers 6, untitled, but there's no progress on that. We don't know anything about the development of that movie. My understanding, it has been put on hold because the previous movie, Last Night, did so poorly that they were even seriously considering scrapping this movie, the Bumblebee movie, but it was already into production. They've already started doing stuff. They decided to go ahead with it, and I think they believed that it was that good of a movie that it could work, and I thought that it did. I think that these Autobots, Decepticons, whomever is coming there, could very easily be there and then leave again. We don't know what kind of story they want to tell next. My hopes is that Travis Knight comes back to do more of these movies. Not that I thought Michael Bay did a bad job. As I said, he is good at creating a spectacle. But these stories, for the first 5 movies, you could see had a disjointed feel to them. Like continuity-wise, it's like this happened and then this happened. It's like, why is this happening? And this doesn't make any sense when you had all this stuff. I mean, like they what? I don't understand it. One thing that would have been nice to see is if they made kind of a reference to Megatron being in the Hoover Dam. They might have. I went to the bathroom for 5 minutes. I don't know if I missed that, but either way, I think that this sets up the potential of several more movies in that gap, like I said, and that's where it could be a soft reboot, but it will eventually, at a certain point in time, it will match up to the events that happened in the 2007 film, and there were elements in this one that directly connected to it. So, call it a soft reboot. I prefer to call it a prequel with possibility, but I do hope that Travis Knight comes back. I'm gonna say this right up front that even somebody, I mean, like I like the 2007 movie Revenge of the Fallen was kind of man, but I still enjoyed it just for what it was. Dark of the Moon. I mean, I enjoy all the movies. Bumblebee, in my opinion, is the best live action Transformer movie that we've ever gotten. I did say live action because you got the 87 animated movie, which has a special place in my heart. But live action movie, this, in my opinion, was the best. It had character development on both sides. And the thing that was nice was, for the most part, there were only 4 there were only 4 Transformers in the movie. So we didn't even get Barricade, which we got a toy for. I was looking at it. We had Bumblebee, we had Blitzwing, we had Shatter, and we had Dropkick. The other ones were kind of there, but I mean, even you could even argue that Blitzwing really wasn't even that much of a part of it because he was only in like a 5-minute segment. So mostly it's Bumblebee, Dropkick, and Shatter that's in it. The rest was, and there were battles, like I said, but the battles weren't the main things that were, like you had, as I said, you had the battles and then you had the little tiny stuff in between that connected it. You had character development, you had story arc, you had emotion, you had all this stuff, and then you had the little tiny battles. So you had the big giant portion and then the little tiny battles. So it was those character development aspects that connected the battles as opposed to the other way around. So I thought that it was extremely well done. Other than, like I said, the opening sequence, which I just felt looked a little bit too cartoony, I still enjoyed it, but it still didn't sit well with me. But there's so much that I loved about this movie that I really hope that it is successful. I really hope you guys go and check this movie out. As somebody who has enjoyed the Michael Bay movies, you may not necessarily trust my opinion. And that's perfectly fine, but watch it for yourself. See what you see. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Now, obviously, today's the 8th. That's when I saw it. The movie is still 2 weeks away from releasing, so I understand not a lot of people are probably going to watch this video. This video is probably going to disappear in your subscription feed, but hopefully you remember that I do this video. After you watch the movie, come back, be part of the discussion with me, and let's talk about it. I think that, like I said, it was a very well done movie that really deserves attention, I think, especially if you're a Transformer fan. While I was in there, I don't know how many times, I mean, the theater was packed. I lost count of the number of times people clapped, lost count of the number of times that people laughed. It was just an enjoyable movie to sit in and be a part of. So thank you, Travis Knight. You did a tremendous job. He's never going to see this video, but you did a tremendous job of making everybody, especially me, feel like a good story. Not just a good cinematic thing. Not just a spectacle. A good movie could be made with Transformers. And I think you did a tremendous job, and I hope that Paramount lets you do more. One thing that I will also say, that this is a Michael Bay production, so it is still a Bayformer movie. And it even says, like, it says a Bay production and producer Michael Bay. So there it is. His hand were still in it, and based on what I know, it was not just the name only. He did contribute to it. But that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it ran a little bit long, as my movie discussion videos usually do. If you've seen the movie, let me know what you think. If you haven't, again, as I said, please remember that I made this video. Come back, watch it, be part of the discussion. And until next time, guys, this has been optibotimus. Transform and roll out.